Hi, welcome. My name is Valerie Varan. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I've been in private practice since 2006. What I didn't know is the universe was going to send me all kinds of people who have had amazing gifts and experiences in consciousness. Now, for me, I've been a spiritual experiencer my entire life. That's what led me to quantum physics to search for answers. So I become quite the advocate for quantum psychology. Now, today, we're going to talk about the spontaneous activation of psychic gifts. And with me is Patrice Krysztofiak. I'd like to read a little bit about Patrice's background. In 2019, he built a dentist directory website. And can you believe he ended up getting sued by the French Dentist Corporation? He was facing 300,000 in fines and 3 years in jails. Now, during this time, Patrice's mom had also passed away, and he was at a very, very low point. He didn't even want to live anymore. Basically, every night, Patrice was going to bed hoping he would not wake up the next morning. Several weeks after, he ended up starting a meditation practice to quiet all of this crippling depression. He entered into the light, and then he started to see in people's bodies when they were sick. And sometimes he would even vomit their disease, like in that movie, The Green Mile. Now, Patrice is going to share about how he started seeing inside these bodies, dreaming of people's health conditions, barfing diseases, which would lead to spontaneous miraculous healings and gift activations, and how he discovered that many of our medical professionals actually know about energy, but they're afraid to talk about it for the fear that they're going to lose their license. So, Patrice, would you mind starting with, there you were in that crippling depression, and how did you choose the meditation that you decided to do? Like, how did you choose the format?
I was looking into meditation apps on the smartphone and I found one in French. Well, actually, I tried several and I tried online things, YouTube and stuff like this. I did not like the tone of the voice of the guided meditations. And then I found one in French from a French psychologist. And I really liked the voice of the guy. I said, this is it. It was a free app. And I started doing this practice. So it's a program like, I don't know, like 50 meditations. And I really liked it. Actually, my guitar teacher told me about this guy and I tried it. I believe it's very important for people to find a meditation style that resonates with them. If you don't like the voice of the person, just move to another one. Try to find the one that works for you. It's not all the meditations will work for you. I don't know why. It's probably a question of frequency or something like this. And I also realized that meditation has different forms because some people have a very hard time doing like silent practices, for example. For me, it's very easy because I used to be a computer programmer, so I used to program in silence, and it's a form of meditation because you're in the zone for many, many hours a day. Could be practicing a musical instrument or dancing is also a form of meditation, even doing the dishes in the present moment. It's very, meditation is a very vast subject. It's not rigid, from my point of view, it's not a rigid discipline. You have to find what works for you with your vibration of the moment.
And I'm so glad you brought it up that way, because that's exactly right, isn't it? It's the thing about meditation is what puts that particular person in a particular state.
Exactly. Could just be listening to music in your couch, and maybe you listen to Stevie Wonder and it takes you someplace else, or now, or classical music. Feel the vibration of your body, how you feel about it. Can it quiet your mind down? Can you get rid of monkey mind?
Yes, absolutely. And so maybe you could tell us more about your journey.
Okay, so I continued. The app was called Zenfi in France. I continued the program, and at some point I reached exercise. Okay, I called that exercise. It was a practice. It was called monkey mind. Actually, the guy called it monkey mind. I had never heard of this term before, because in fact I was in a loop in my head all the time. Am I going to be this fine? Am I going to be this fine? It was like a mini loop, like a sample of a rap song. You know, it's like all day long. I was getting crazy. And this one was called Monkey Mind. So the guy takes you for a journey. So it's like a little story, go around the mountain, blah, 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 blah. Think about this, think about the flower, you're seeing a tree, think about the fruit on the tree. And then he says, now think about anything you want. And my mind went blank. And this is when I entered into the light. I was like, oh my God. I started laughing and I was so happy. I probably stayed around 20 seconds, I believe. I don't remember exactly, but that was a long time when you're in the light like this. I mean, I did not have ND, obviously. And I was so happy. And my wife, I remember because my wife ran and she opened the door where I was meditating. I said, what's happening? Why are you laughing? Why are you so happy? And then I entered into the light. That was amazing. It was a pure state of bliss and happiness. It's if you did not embody this experience, it's impossible to describe in human words, I believe. And that was incredible, honestly. Incredible experience.
Well, and I know what you mean about it being really difficult to describe. So a lot of times when people are asking about that, they're asking about how people were perceiving. So it could have been perceiving through emotion. It could have been perceiving through sight, through sound. Could you describe more of that?
So for me, it was through sight. So I was really the light. It was like I was in the middle of the sun. It was really a 360 degrees experience. I was surrounded with light, like the sunlight. But it came with more emotion than this and warmth to it. It's like you're like in vacation and you're in the sun and you're suntanning and the light is so beautiful. It feels exactly like this, with happiness and joy.
And that 360-degree theme, that is a theme, isn't it? Like totally surrounded. Did it feel like inside and out?
Yeah, you're the light too. You're inside, but you're also the light. It's indescribable in human terms. I cannot even reproduce it on demand. It's not that easy.
No, it isn't. Now, what about when you first experienced that very first time you experienced seeing in someone's body? I'm so curious about your emotional reaction to that and what that experience was like. I mean, even feeling their diseases, even vomiting their diseases.
So this actually took a long time between this episode and the time I saw this, the first person body's disease. It took about 2.5 years, I would say, maybe two or 2.5, I don't remember exactly. It was a long journey. So after this episode, we decided to go to Portugal, so from France to Portugal, and because I could not stay in the house, there was like a lion in a cage waiting for what's going on with the protocol of the police and court and stuff like this. It was very complicated.
Yes.
So we went there, and I turned 50 years old, and I decided to take care of myself at 50 years old for the first time in my life, instead of being a workaholic. So please take care of yourself. This is very important. And there was a massage place next to the apartment where we were staying in Portugal with a lady named Daniela, Instituto Oya. And I did not know anything about the energy work at the time, and I went to get a massage every week. I want to insist this is a very long journey, because some people think it's easy. You just wake up one day and you see inside bodies. I went for a massage. That was the first massage in my life, and it was so good. I came back, and she said, "You want to come back?" Because the place was very humble. It was cold. It was super cold and everything. And I said yes, because the massage was really good, and it's like the universe arranged everything. And I knew I had to come back to this place. I did not know why. It was not the most luxurious place in the world, but there was something more than just a massage. So she asked me, "Do you want to come back?" And I said yes, and she was surprised because I was the first client who wanted to come back. And when she started to open up, I would say, the gates of energy work a little bit at the time, not to freak me out, because you never know. I'm just a white man, let's be honest, Occidental man. I don't know anything about that. And she trained in Nepal with monks. She's very, very advanced. So every week we would do like I call that rituals, but it's more practices like breath work, stretching. It was not only massage. Would be also like maybe chanting, or more like finding your voice, I would say. She's really into finding your true self, your authentic self. So sometimes it's like a vocalization, like humming and things like that, to find your own vibration. It's basically practices from monks that they've been doing that for millenniums.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There's a lot of various practices. It's not magical either. And I really put the work in. For me, my body was, because I was programming, I was a computer programmer for like 30 years. My body was completely frozen, honestly. Sitting at the desk for 30 years, I was frozen. And she said, "You need to stretch." So I started to do So I'm going to say yoga practice. This is a big word. I was not doing fancy yoga poses. I was really trying to unblock my body. So I did stretching. I did something called Science of Stretching. It's from a company called Yoga Body. It is exactly the same thing as Yin Yoga with a scientific approach. And that's really opened my body. But I believe it's really helped the energy flow in my body, especially the hips. We have a lot of stuff stored in our hips, especially the guys. We are completely frozen on that side. So I was doing like one hour stretching every day. I was doing 3 to 5 hours meditation practice every day or so. So this is not a free ride, clearly. I put the work. I would do 2 sessions a week with Daniela, the lady in Portugal also. And I started to feel energies on my body. I started to feel like static electricity. I'm going to describe it like this. This is the closest thing to human terms that I can think of. People who are used to energy, they know there is like a texture or something to it. And one day I felt, I believe I was laying down on my belly, and I believe she put her hand like this on my body, and I felt like a wave moving like this on my body. It's very, very hard to describe. So it's like, yeah, a ray of static electricity. And then I felt a ripple on my back, like poof, like a nuclear blast, like a circle ripple when you throw a rock in water.
That sounds kind of like when people are describing the Kundalini awakening.
Yes, but similar. Except Kundalini is more from down to bottom, but yes.
Okay, so yours wasn't down to bottom. It was across, and then you were saying the back.
Yeah, it was like somebody, imagine if my back was water, you throw a rock in the middle of my back and it was a ripple, like poof. It was really circular. I really remember that very well because this was an exceptional experience. And then I vomited energy. I went like this, but my throat really opened. It's like I don't know if it was my throat chakra open or something like this. But there was like this opening of the throat and this texture that came out. There was no matter, obviously. It was just energy. And I was like, what's that? What's that? And she said, I got it. I was like, what? Didn't realize that
No,
dark
right?
energy
What
inside me.
did she say it was?
She didn't say it because she did not like to speak too much about that because people ask too much questions and then they can get crazy because when you start to get into this world, you can turn crazy. Let's be realistic because it opens a Pandora's gates or I don't know what, but like what did it mean? But I was very curious. I was like, oh, no, that was dark energy or what was stored in me. I mean, dark energy, probably like the grief of my mom is what I believe now, what it was. And from that point, so it took a long time. It took probably a year before I birthed my first energy. And then I would still go to explore more and more of this world. And then I started to see little emojis on people when they were touching me. So this was before I could see inside bodies. It was like little heart if you were happy or in love, or a mask if you were a liar. This is how it started. Like, oh, that's cool. But the picture was very blurry, but I knew there was something. So it was like a little hologram, like augmented reality on people. I knew there was something. It was augmented reality. My level of perception of energy was not refined enough to have a full HD visual. Let's call it like this. But it built up because the more you practice, the more it builds. I was keeping up my meditation practice. I was going into nature also because I was spending all my time in front of a computer for 30 years. So they said, you need grounding. So I would meditate outside under a tree. And one day, actually, I saw so this is probably my first, I never talk about that in any interview, actually. My first inside body picture. It was, I saw the tree roots under the ground. And I was like, oh my God, what's this? Because I had my eyes closed. I was meditating my back against a tree and I saw underground the roots. But I thought it was a galaxy or something. I was like, oh my God, this looks like space. It was like, and then I realized, oh my God, this is the roots of a tree. This is amazing. I could see the energy of the roots. It was magnificent. So this is really my true first experience. Completely useless, I would say. It was a practice from the universe for me. So I was keeping doing this and I was like, oh my God. But then you get addicted to visuals. So you have to be very careful when you do this kind of practices because it can be very addictive. And this is where the lady of Portugal really slapped my face really hard many times. It's like, it's always what for? What do you want to use these gifts for? Because if it's just for touristic reasons, not very interesting. We're here to help humanity or to do something with that.
That almost sounded like she was admonishing you, be careful, what do you want to use this for? Is it for a
Yes,
purpose?
she's very, very careful with energy, and she's always saying, be careful to what you connect, because not all energies are good. This is something it took me a long time to understand, because I'm very blessed. I always connected to the right energy. I did not realize there were bad energies. Now I can see it with other practitioners or people. Not everybody connects to the right form of energies. Another subject for another interview. And so that was it. I continued my meditation practice. And then eventually we went back to France. And my wife was sick for many, many years. I'm going to keep the story short because you will find this in other interviews. And we did a ritual on her, like the lady in Portugal did. We just goofed around with energy, basically. I did breath of fire on her belly because nobody could figure out what she had. She was sick for more than 10 years, and we had no idea. When I got the first flash, the first visual, and I did not realize what it was, like, oh, what's weird? And then I received the second one, and I was like, oh my God, I have to go check on Google Image what that's. And I typed the text. It was perfectly the text I needed to type. I don't know where I got this information. The first picture that showed up on Google Image was the picture I got in my vision. It was a parasite. And she had a parasite inside her who started to eat her body from the inside, her lungs, and she had difficulty breathing and other tissues. So this was my first medical intuitive experience, let's call it like this. So energy work is not always purely energy. I'm not going to, so first of all, I'm not a healer, but just a messenger, let's call it like this. Sometimes you need to use science to get help, because some people want to do everything with energy. I don't think this is possible. We're also here for the human experience. If you take a hammer and you break your hand, I'm not going to repair it. Go to the hospital. Sometimes you need the scientific drugs. They do work. I mean, okay, some maybe not, but in that case, that worked perfectly.
No, but I love that you're letting people realize that there's certain things that energy does, and then there's certain things that we really do need to go to Western medicine for. So in this case with your wife, you were seeing that it was a parasite eating her from the inside. And it sounded like you got text, you said, that you were able to type in and even find out maybe like what kind of parasite before you went to the doctor?
Exactly. This is even bigger than this, because the query I typed in Google made absolutely no sense. I think I typed parasite in the shape of an 8. That made absolutely no sense. I don't know why I typed that. And it was the first picture. It was ankylostoma. That made no sense. It looks like the mouth harp, like a little musical instrument. I don't even know the picture showed up on Google. I typed that query again. It never showed up again. So it's still a mystery to me. The universe had a plan. And we got lucky because it was during a lockdown, and we did a medical appointment online via Zoom. We didn't do this in France before COVID. They did not ask us how we got the information. They totally believed us. They said, oh, we're looking it up. We never heard of this. And this is a medicine. They sent us a PDF email, and we went to the pharmacy, but made no sense. Honestly, if we would try that today, we would say, you're crazy. You have to go do lab tests and stuff like this. It was like so easy. It was so arranged to prove us it was true.
Wow, that's amazing. So, like you said, it was kind of fortuitous that it was during the time of COVID, because it just sounded like the medical system was very accommodating. They were just like, yeah, let me give you this prescription. We don't need to test you. I believe you. No questions asked. Go get this medicine.
Unbelievable.
Wow, that's amazing. And so how quickly before your wife started recovering?
So she took the medicine, and a few days later, she started to see these red dots on her skin. It was like mini parasite. I don't know, it's very microscopic, and that was it. In a few days, and then her health recovered. She could breathe better, and it was very quick.
Oh my goodness. So you went from the flash at the tree roots to starting to see flashes that you weren't, visual little images that you weren't, that they were kind of blurry and you weren't quite sure. But then with your wife, things that sounded like became more pronounced.
Yes, they were more and more refined. So when I started seeing, it was more like the game Etch-a-Sketch. You know, it's kind of yellowish, kind of like that, but blurry. And the more I practiced meditation and quieting my mind, the visuals got more and more refined until they got into color. So it's like full HD colors for people who had NDEs or who did medicinal plants. It's colors that do not exist on this planet, which is indescribable because they don't exist with our eyes.
Wow. So what was your emotional reaction like, when you first saw, let's say, something major like that?
I was never afraid. It was like I remembered. It was like a normal state of the human being. It's like, oh yeah, of course we can do this. It's like breathing. It's
Oh,
like I
beautiful.
remembered. And I believe everybody can do this actually. It's just we forgot because we're too busy. We don't quiet our minds. And most people don't even think it's real. I mean, they will think it's real because there will be more and more stories like this on the internet uh, and more miraculous healings. But yeah, for me, it's normal. It was like I was never afraid. I totally embraced the journey, and I went to see many practitioners who can do that too. And because I'm not alone, I'm not special or unique. There's like hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of people like me on the planet. It's just we don't know how to find them. And they said, Patrice, this is cool because you're not afraid, because they see other people like me and people are afraid and they turned off their gifts. I mean, not really a gift. I don't consider that a gift. I believe we learned in previous incarnations and we just remember how to use our skills.
That's beautiful. Well, and I know in my practice, what I've noticed is when we go into the left brain, and of course, we've become a very left brain dominant kind of culture, haven't we? And so when we go into the left brain, it definitely seems to take us out of the very states that are the open that you went into. So I'm not surprised at why so many of us have shut down gifts, but it's so beautiful to hear you describe how you opened up and explaining to people how it is a very gradual process and it does take practice. It's not usually, it can happen, but it's not usually that it's just going to go like that as far as activating a gift. What about when you actually vomited someone's disease for the first time? What was that like?
This was incredible. So this was a lady with a fibroid actually. And I did hands-on healing. Well, I don't like the word healing. I'm going to use it, but hands-on energy work. And for the first time, I could actually feel the energy with my hand, and I was above her belly. I was not touching her, and I could pull the energy of the fibroid. I could actually feel it like a tube of energy. I could feel it in my hand. There was like a resistance. I don't know if that happens, honestly. It's still a mystery to me, like how my hands can feel there's something invisible. And I was pulling, it was like a tube, like a very long hose of energy. And then I made a mistake. I touched her belly with my hand, with my right hand actually. And the energy of the fibroid shot into the palm of my hands here. When I had a burn mark, it went through my hand and I was in pain. It was like I was burned with a laser beam or something like this. I was like, oh my God, energy is real. The lady in Portugal was right. We have to be super careful with energy.
Oh my goodness, it actually burned your hand.
Yes. And I lost my eyesight for 2 or 3 minutes. I don't remember exactly. My eyesight turned red. I could not see anything. From the energy shot in my hand, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't see anything. So I was like walking blind in the house. I have to go outside. So I received a message, go touch a big rock outside. And we're lucky because we have a big rock in our garden. And this is the message I received. I just followed the instruction. I'm kind of completely in the right brain when I'm in that zone. I just follow the instructions I receive. I trust the process completely, even if it's weird. So I was like this on the walls. I opened the door, I got at the rock in the garden. And then I felt this discharge of energy, like a reverse progress bar, like energy emptying my body into the ground. And then my eyesight changed to green. I said, oh my God, this is Archangel Raphael. The first time I experienced it. I've heard about Archangel Raphael, but I never experienced it. Everybody says green, green, green. I was like, oh, what are we talking about? Shows up with me like this. Now we know, okay, this shows up. Then we go put your hand under cold water now. So I do it, my eyesight turns blue and then comes back clear. So I go back to the woman and I continue. And then I receive instructions, like if you do this type of work with your hands, you have to do mudras with your hands. So in the corner of the screen, like I'm going to do it here, like in the news page, when you have the sign language person, you have to use mudras. I did not know anything about mudras, obviously. Occidental man. Like, that's so cool. I have the built-in documentation. So I continue, and then suddenly, blah, puff energy, like, blah, like in the Green Mile, the same thing with all the flies, luckily.
So
It's
it was
just the
more
sense.
barfing energy, not actually like a normal throwing up of stomach contents, but it was the act of throwing up, but it was energy.
Yes, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where the air comes from in my body. Because sometimes this happens several times in a session when it's very heavy cases. It's like, where is this coming from? I have no idea. My body can produce this. I actually barf matter once, that happened once. Very, very heavy case. So there are different feelings to this. In that case, it was, I believe, purely physical, because there are many sources of disease, I believe. So I'm not a scientist, medical disclaimer, if you're watching this video. I'm just probably making up my own interpretation of data. And sometimes it's a physical issue. If you eat poison, you're going to get sick. So it's physical. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's from past lives. So I've read a text where Buddhist says that 80% of actual diseases are passed on from past lives. I believe this is true from all the people I've done reading for. Sometimes it's from your ancestors also. So that's what people say, it's passed in your DNA, your genetics. But you can see, I can see it from the ancestors, and this is the kind of stuff I can work on if I can see it. So in that case, it just felt like a release of energy, and it feels so good after. Sometimes I cry, I go, and then I cry like for like 1 or 2 minutes. I just need to let the energy evacuate. So what I believe is that we can transform the energy of a disease, let's say, in physical 3D energy, but there needs to be an exchange. And this is what I'm doing. I'm the exchanger. What people call transmutation.
So yeah, talk more about this exchange. You feel it is an exchange of energy.
I don't know if they know Lavoisier in physics in the US, because in France we have Lavoisier. It's a physician, and he says in physics, what did he say? I have to remember my school thing, and I translate it. But yeah, nothing is created, nothing is lost, everything is transformed. And I believe it's the same thing with energy work and this kind of disease or things like this. So whatever it started, I don't know, because I don't have a unit or a vocabulary for this type of energy. Let's call it the disease energy or the illness energy or the depression energy, because we also work with mood and emotions. People who are depressed, sometimes I can see it, I can delete it. Not me, I don't exactly know how that works. Right. So also I believe like all the humans are connected in the grid, we are all connected. So this I'm quasi sure we are all connected. So if I know the person, if the person asks me for help, I can connect to this person via the grid. To imagine a line between you and me, for example, and I can absorb the energy of the disease, but since my body is not compatible with it, because my vibration is very high, it has to go out somehow. So sometimes I shake like, whoa, sometimes I scream, sometimes I go, ah, sometimes I go, whoa. This is very common in energy work. You see people yawning, or having tears sometimes. They are not sad, but they're having tears. Sometimes I laugh like a maniac. People are in tears and I'm laughing, and I'm not mocking you, but the energy needs to go out. So this is how the exchange is happening. Sometimes I shake off camera so you don't see, but my hands goes like this. So there's the energy is eliminated like this. Sometimes it's my left leg. I have heard of people who work with melting metal, melting lead, because it absorbs I heard about that last month, actually. I know it's true. These people who are very serious, because it can do an exchange of energy with the metallic transformation. Well, I don't know if you want to call that alchemy or whatever. But
So they
you need
use lead.
yes. I don't know if that works. I haven't seen it done. I've heard about this. I know it's true. I've no doubt it's true. I don't know. Science will explain this. If you're going to think, people, you're crazy. Yeah, but that does work. Look at the data. How many people are getting better? So there needs to be an exchange somehow. I also believe why they had like bells in churches and things like this. Tibetans use Tibetan balls a lot. I also use sound. Sometimes I feel like ringing a ball, so people don't see, but I have a big ball on the side and I go boing, because I know it helps dissipate the energy. And so I don't take it in my body. This is tools to help. So this is how it feels for, I would say, purely physical disease. Now, if it's from past lives and the energy of a past life, this is very different. So if it's, let's say, a heavy past life, or many, because sometimes I can clear many in one go. So I go like, this is really ridiculous. Now, when you're in a session with me, this is ridiculous.
No, but I understand, right? Like, because like you said, the energy has to go somewhere. It has to be transformed. And so you're basically acting as a conduit, and the energy is directed to leave the person. And it sounds like you're allowing it to go through you, and then you're releasing it however you're feeling called to release it, whether it's through sound, shaking, tears, laughter, however you're feeling called.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody asked me that question: when I clear past lives, how does it feel when I bath the energy? And it was very hard to describe, because this was a very, very heavy case, because I did that with other practitioners, because this was very heavy. I could not do it alone, because one practitioner can do everything alone sometimes. And I'm also sending a message to other practitioners. It's better if you work as teams. I believe it was like, just going to give random numbers. Let's say it was 250 years of past lives together to be cleared. I was like screaming for 5 seconds, but it was like I was experiencing the past lives in high speed for 5 seconds. So I could feel all the emotions, sadness, grief, horror. It's like a movie would play, like super, super fast. Then I cry, and then that's it. It's very weird.
Wow, that's amazing. That kind of sounds like the life review when someone's had a near-death experience and they're feeling not only the emotions they had in the life, but they're feeling the emotions of everyone they affected. And it's all at the same time, and it seems to go really fast. But here you are, not on the other side. You're clearly here, but you're experiencing that really fast. That's amazing.
That's a good way to put it. I never thought about that. Yeah, this is like a high-speed life review, but I review for them. Because it would be, I believe it would be too hard for them, and maybe they would faint on something, or something bad would happen, would have a heart attack. I don't know. Oh, and
Well, clearly, right? Not everybody's energies are poised to handle this, but you went through a lot of practice and, like you said, a few years of building up to these energetic states to be able to handle this physically.
Or millions of years, who knows?
That too, right? But at least in this lifetime. So handling 250 lives, but you can feel it all. You're processing it energetically, you said, and then all of a sudden you can kind of feel when it ends.
Yes, it just stops. Sometimes I have residue, so I have to escape my room when I do a session. I say, sorry, I have to leave, I have to go in the garden, I have to go hug a tree and sit on a rock for 10 minutes before coming back. And then I'm outside, I'm like coughing, or sometimes I have a little barfing of energy. When I have tools, I have a big Tibetan balls of 15 kilos. I stand in it to clean myself up very quickly. And I get checked by other practitioners, also get a massage, or in case there is residue of energies. I usually don't get that much, but what happens?
That's beautiful that you're still doing your own self-care. And in my world, we kind of talk about energy boundaries. Like sometimes we have to learn how to set energy boundaries, how to decide when not to absorb something, when to stop taking something in. Sometimes we talk about channeling it in different directions, not necessarily through our physical body. But no matter what, we have to cleanse. It's so easy for anybody who is working with individuals one-on-one in any kind of healing capacity, right? Whether it's a mental health field, a physical medicine field, energy field. It's so easy to pick up other people's energies. And like, so what you're pointing to is that self-care part.
Yeah. I have a good team. I mean, when I was talking about teams, the guys behind who are invisible. Sometimes when it's very, very heavy cases, I know I leave my body, I'm in front, my energy is here. I can still feel things flowing from my body, but I'm not in there. I don't know how this happens. Some people can see it. They say, you're not in your body. They say, yeah, it's too heavy for me. I would not be able to handle it. I don't know why they do this sometimes and not all the time. This is still a mystery, but this is just how it works. I know I'm not in my body. I cannot prove it. There's no camera to film this, so I'm not going to try to convince anyone.
No, not at all. But I totally understand. But in other words, it's interesting that sometimes you go out of body, sometimes you don't. And when you go out of body, next thing you know, it sounds like you literally, your consciousness is out of the body. You can turn and probably see your physical body and see the client you're working on.
Yes, that happened once. I saw myself at work, actually. This was very, very wild. Was with a Swiss client. This lady was very, very high vibration, and it's really easier to get into these states if people are high vibrational. I don't know why. It's probably why if you go with monks, you get to a higher states quicker. I don't know. I've never done this, so I don't know. I saw myself sitting on my couch, so I was facing myself. It was full HD. And I saw a hologram on top of me. I actually saw a lotus flower on top of my head. I was like, whoa. Like, what is this? Yeah, I was like, whoa, what is this? This is incredible. But I do not reach this state very often. I would say, I'm going to be honest with the audience, I see less and less because I get the information with via other ways. And so I don't know if that's true or not. This is if it's a story I just made up. I believe like creating a visual in my mind uses energy. And either my higher self or my team or me, I don't know how that works exactly. They prefer to direct 100% of the energy for the energy healing of the person instead of just making me a movie show or a cinema in my head. What's the point? If I still get the same information, we might as well send all the energy for the person. Makes more sense.
That's beautiful. So if I'm hearing correctly, while things originally were coming more visual over time, or at least with certain clients, it's as if you're getting the direct download and transfers of energy are happening and energy is not being wasted producing a visual. And I'm going to guess, this is my guess, that you're such a clear channel in those moments and you don't need the visual. You're such a clear channel that the energy is just doing what it needs to do and it doesn't have to appear visual.
Somebody told exactly the same thing like 2 months ago. She said, "Oh my God, you are a clear channel." I had never heard about this term before.
Clear channel,
so I believe
yes.
It's the second time I hear this. I believe this is true. I don't know how or why, but it's just how it is. Just have to accept it.
Well, like you said, the state that you put yourself into. Maybe we'll speak to that point you brought up not too long ago. It is interesting in physics. You were talking about how it's easier to get into a high state when you're around someone else in a high state. Or, if we're around monks, if we go into sacred spaces like cathedrals. There's something in physics talking about resonance, and it's energy. It's interesting that they've come to discover that we are energy as well as matter. We are wave as well as particle, and they truly have realized that everybody and everything has these dual aspects. And what they notice that the energy wave aspect is like when two energies are swimming like dolphins, all in sync, the peaks and the trials are matching up, then that allows for resonance to occur. Like these are in sync, resonance is occurring. And then Heart Math organization was beautiful, how they kind of went further in their research. And they were sharing how when we can be in resonance, not only is there amplification, by the way, but entrainment starts happening. And so each wave starts having a mutual vibratory effect on one another, and information starts getting shared. And so notice that, I guess we could say my hypothesis is that, when we're practicing, when we're getting better at these energy exchanges, if you will, it's because we know how to be where that person is. We know how to resonate and entrain. And when you, as an energy being, are more coherent like a laser, and let's compare that with scattered like a flashlight. But when you're a more coherent energy, then whoever you're working on will entrain to you. It's almost like when we have a dog whistle, and that when we whistle and the dog comes, it's as if your energy is going to be in such a beautiful coherent state that their energies will follow you. They will go into your lead. And truly, it sounds like people who are studying the bioenergetics of this, they're talking about how much resonance and entrainment is going on. So let me ask you about your first miraculous cure. What was that like when all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's a miracle?
So the first time, it was actually at the beginning of my journey. I could not do this on demand very easily. It was a kid with a lung disease, and I actually dreamed this condition. It was, I don't even know if these people found me at the time, honestly. We were in the middle of South America. We had no internet. It was via contact of a contact of a contact. They sent me a picture. And I was going in meditation, and I got nothing for a few days. And then one day I had a dream of inside the body of the kid. The dream lasted 7 hours or 6 or 7 hours. Lucid dream. I was perfectly lucid. I remembered everything. I was waking up waking up. I was already awake because I was lucid, but I was writing down everything every hour, computer. But what was incredible, every time I would go to bed, I was still in the dream, lucid, but it was full HD inside of the body. This was mind-blowing, holographic vision. And I was in the lungs of the kid, and I saw some lights working on his lungs. It lasted a long time, honestly. The dream lasted a long time. So I described what I saw to the parents via email. And a few days later, the kid healed, his lungs healed miraculously. It was not me, obviously. I didn't do anything. I was just dreaming. That was mind-blowing because everything was correct in my description of his disease, and I had no idea what he had. They just said, can you help our kid? He's going to die. We don't know what to do. And he had a lung infection. I had no idea. This was, I wish I could have filmed that dream and put it on YouTube.
I bet. Oh my goodness. So there you were the first time lucid dreaming. It felt like 7 hours, but this was over a course of nights, it sounds like, or days.
No, actually, I every day I would put the intention, because I was trying to do it in meditation. I could not. And then one night I got 7 hours of lucid dream in one go. It was mind-blowing. I never had that again. It was a sacred experience. It was like I had taken ayahuasca or something like this, but I didn't take anything. I don't know, I reached that state. It was probably help with guides and stuff like this. I'm getting a yes. Thank you.
I'm getting a yes. I love that. But like you said, you were able to see the lights in the lungs. You were able to visually understand what was going on, or at least getting a visual representation of what was going on. And it sounds like you just did what the guides had you do, whether or not you understood what was happening. And then you got the feedback that there was a miraculous cure.
Exactly. It was incredible. So I tried to practice to see if I could do this during the day. It took me a long time to get to that point. I'll be honest with your audience, I never reached that level of reading again, because to be 7 hours in that state, it's extremely difficult. on the what for, the same thing. Now I can do it even without seeing. I know that the energy is flowing, but there's also a cost on the lymphatic system, so I cannot do this every day. When my taste change and when my legs get super weak, I have problems walking. I cannot do that many readings. It's not people who do 5 or 6 readings a day. I don't know if they do it. I don't know if they're real. I don't want to make enemies, but something sketchy there. This is technically not possible. Or you have to be absolutely incredible. I don't know, the Incredible Hulk, or I don't know. But at my level of practice, I do not see how is this possible. It's too draining.
Yeah, I don't know how many people could really do that many. I know even in the psychotherapy field, working with 5 people in a day feels like a very big day, very loaded with emotion. So yeah, that would be hard.
Oh, we're breaking down.
Oh, there we go. Hold on. Let's see. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yes,
think we're
perfect.
back.
We're back.
So like you said, even 5 clients a day for a psychotherapist is a lot when we're sharing in that emotion, when we're resonating and in training, and there you can feel all that you're doing physically. It's amazing. Wow. So you just chuckled and said, yes, my guide said yes. What is that like working with your guides? Is that a visual perceptual process, or is it just like a knowing?
It's a knowing for me. I do not see them, and they do not talk to me either. But many of my clients during sessions see them. Like, oh, there's beings behind you. So this is how I get my messages a lot via other people. It's really fun, and they're really funny also. But I train also my body to quiet, and I can receive a yes or a no. I think it's called the body code or something like this. You can actually tune into your body and feel if it's a yes or a no for any question in your life. I call that my inner guidance. So at first it would take me like hours to get into that state, but now I can do this within seconds. And I can just quiet my mind and say if it's a yes or a no. I can feel my body response. This is very convenient in your life because when you get into your heart space instead of this, because this is a trick, the heart will make you take decisions that do not conform with what you have been taught at school, but it's much better for your life and for your happiness.
I'm so glad that you brought that up. It is like a kinesiology, isn't it? It's a natural tuning into the body and understanding if it's leaning forward and feeling a yes, or if it's feeling a pulling back and feeling a no. It clearly, I would tell people that that's the most beautiful intuitive gift you can get, is start understanding the yeses and the nos that you're getting intuitively in your life.
This is incredible, and you're receiving messages all the time. Just be aware of your body.
Yes. What was that like? Maybe you can talk more about the kinds of gift activations that you've witnessed.
During my sessions, so this is what happens. My sessions can be very long, sometimes 2-3 hours. I clear all the layers around people, and some people activate their gifts. I did not expect this to happen. I did not even know that was what was going to happen actually. And there are more and more people who activate since the beginning of 2023 to now. It's like night and day. There's clearly the big awakening happening. People are remembering their gifts. This is no joke. This is really happening. The first time that happened, I cleared all the energy of a lady, and she started channeling at the end of the session. I was like, and it's like I knew, it's like one of my skill or gift, if you want to call it gift, is like I can see people's gifts.
That's beautiful.
So I could tell her, oh, you could channel now if you wanted, and she tried, and she started channeling. So some people can see in their bodies also, or sometimes I have a family, and one member of the family, oh, I can see in my wife's body what's happening. I can see she has something in her heart. I said, oh my God, yeah, of course, you're just activated. You can help your wife because this is where we're going. There will be a healer. Inevitable. This is going to happen. Many practitioners talk about this. This is going to happen. Every neighborhood will have their practitioner, but the real deal of practitioner. So this is what
That's
happened. Many people
beautiful.
see colors also. There's a lot of communication with colors when they have their eyes closed. So they see purple, yellow. So usually this is the same reference as archangels. Like I believe like Michael is a purple or blue. I don't remember. I'm not a specialist in that stuff. Raphael Green. People start speaking light language, or sometimes with their hands also. So it's the same thing. It's light language with their hands. What else happened? People start to be able to do healing work with their hands, because I can see their hands activating and I can see like colors. So you have a green ball of light in your left hand. You can use this on your husband, and they do. And the husband says, "Oh my God, I feel heat, or I feel something. Oh, my shoulder is better. I don't have pain anymore." They see your wife can do it for you. You don't need me anymore. I'm the worst salesman on the internet, just to let you know.
No, I love that. You have such a pure energy, such a pure heart. So you mentioned the light language. How did that first come to you? How do you experience it? You said something about the hands.
So it depends for some people. So light language, the first time I experienced this, I saw, okay, this is what happened when I was meditating a lot. One time I saw a screen with symbols scrolling down. I was like, wow, what's this? It looks like hieroglyphs or horoscope logos. I had no idea what that was. I had to look it up on the internet. And I found the universe of light language. So once again, there's real and there's fake one, because internet, you know, everybody wants to make money with ads. So there's, you have to use your discernment to find who is true. And I saw light languages, like symbols. So this was a long time ago. And then it happened 2 or 3 more times. And one day I woke up in the middle of the night in my bed, and I was sleeping, and I woke up and I was speaking something out of my control. I was like, I was like, what is this? But at the same time, it sounded so beautiful. I knew it was a real language. I was like, what is this? I had no control over my body. I was like this in bed, and my arms were like doing crazy stuff. And then it started happening during sessions. So it's not really trance channeling. At night it was, because I had no control over my muscles. I know that's where I'm heading. I'm not there yet. It's like I have this desire to speak a foreign language for the audience. We could try now if there's a message. I'm going to yes for your audience. And sometimes people cry and they say, "Oh my God, this is beautiful. It feels like home." And this is what most people say. It feels like home because they remember it's their soul language or planet origin, star origin. I don't know. I cannot explain it. And people are in tears. So light language, yeah. The person I like a lot on the internet is Wendy Kennedy. She's very famous. She explains it very well. She says the light language speaks to your soul. Your soul remembers, and when it affects your body, the soul sends a message to your body. So I don't know exactly what is in the light language in terms of healing codes. It's multi-dimensional. It's way bigger than we think. In a little bit of commands or words, there's a lot of data that's transferred.
That is so beautiful. I would love, before we close, I would love to hear your description. I'll ask this, but then I'll explain what I'm trying to get at. I would love to hear your description of a multi-dimensional reality, because different people would answer that in different ways. But through our conversation today, there's light language, it's home, guides, archangels. Would you describe this as a multi-dimensional reality existing of just all kinds of beings? Would you consider them all at energy levels? Like, how would you describe these in terms of dimensions, or maybe in another way?
Oh, it's very hard to describe because we don't even know how many dimensions there are.
And that's why, right, this is kind of an intuitive answer, because, right, when we recognize something as home, then the question we often get is, where is that home?
Mm-hmm. I have to think a little bit about that question. Because when I do readings on people, I can see the multidimensionality on, I would say, like 5 to 6 planes of existence. Sometimes I'm going to say it's like outside of 3D. There are more aspects to this life and to our incarnations. So I already think that we are incarnated in more than one incarnation. So maybe we have 1,000 incarnations right now. So this is what I believe. This is my personal belief. I never heard anyone talk about this? Let's say we have 1,000 incarnation. This is, let's say Earth is incarnation number 1. Maybe we're sick on incarnation number 7. And I believe sometimes if you're sick on 7, it will impact your health on Earth. I don't know if I'm making this up or not. If there's a channeler in your audience, it would be very interesting if you could put a comment in the YouTube video. I believe if we heal incarnation number 7, you heal on Earth, because we are trying to heal the globality of our aspects, or I don't know, fractals, I don't know what you want to call it. This is very abstract stuff. I know when I work in spaces that are not from this Earth. I cannot explain it. It's like Photoshop layers. If you know Photoshop, you have so many layers. Earth is layer number 1. I go in different layers. I repair energy lines. It's very abstract. Sometimes it's very vector art, because they still have to do construct for my human brain, so I can give information to my clients. And if I repair the number 7, something happens here. So the multidimensionality, I don't know, your question is too big for my human brain. It's we cannot remember because of the rule of this planet. We forgot.
I think you answered beautifully, and probably I haven't really heard that metaphor of Photoshop layers before, but I'm feeling like it's the perfect analogy for our human brain, is to think of it as these layers upon layers, as if it were like in Photoshop. It kind of reminds me of a dream I had where I woke up and I had been in a very pixelated reality. Like you said, these things are hard to describe when we experience them, but it was as if it was the blackest of cosmic night, but the neon colors of Times Square or Hong Kong or something, but it was pixelated. And it was a spiritual being that was communicating to me. And what the being was saying was, go back and tell them that whatever you do in any reality affects us all in all realities, all in the now, all at the same time. And when I awoke and was having to process that dream, I remember thinking, and why am I getting this dream? Like, I don't even play video games, because at first it had a video game kind of feel to it. But what I came to realize over and over is that many people are getting something similar. And I think the way you just described it, the way you did, is saying the same thing, right? Like, if we're sick on layer 7, it's going to affect us right now in 1. When we heal 7, we heal 1, and vice versa. When we heal ourselves today, it ricochets. It has healing effects in all of our other realities. And like you said, we're so interconnected that when we heal the 1, we heal the all to some degree. So how beautiful. Any other thoughts or anything else you might want to share with the viewers before we close today?
Yes, we need to learn how to slow down and take care of ourselves. Stop the consumerism world. I mean, you still can have your comfort, but does not mean you do not need to buy anything, but just learn to quiet your mind. And if you are trying to activate your gifts also, always remember what for. You will not be able to access them without a pure heart. This is for sure. To be kind, and be kind to yourself is key. This is very hard to do, to be kind to ourselves. And get a massage.
I love that. Well, and of all the messages that we get where love is predominant, I can't help but to notice how there you had the love of your wife, and that pure love just amplifying and activating your gifts kind of for the first time. And like you said, love is a state. So when we're self-loving, it's just a state of this beautiful allowing of our entire being to shine and to radiate outwards, right? Rather than to filter it and contain it. And then it does impact others. So we're only able to love others to the degree that we can allow that love for ourselves to shine. Um, yeah, that's so beautiful. Anything else you might want to share?
Well, I want to say, I want to share this because nobody talks about this. When people do healing work, you have to be in a peaceful zone. I've heard stories. It's not a good ending. I wanted a happy ending, but this is not a good ending. I've heard about practitioners doing a session and they were kind of grumpy or annoyed and they started to talk about, oh, my husband, blah, 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 blah. So if you get in a session like this, get away immediately. People need to be in a peaceful zone, inside, out, completely zen, dedicated to you, in a love zone. So this is what happens to me during sessions sometimes, and this is going to be shocking news, and we're not on Fox News. Sometimes I will work on the knee of somebody or the ankle or the toe or something like this. And I fall in love with a body part. It's like I fall in love with their knee, or I'm like, oh, John, I love your knee. But it's like so much love. It's like I would bring me to tears. And you have to go with the practitioners who can enter this zone. This is very hard to describe, but well, I don't want to teach some practitioners, but so many people did trainings and they think they can do it, but they cannot. There's what's called the placebo zone, but I want to be clear, it does work. There's measurements of this, the placebo works. But some energy workers put you in the placebo works, which has more gain than actually a placebo pill. It's been measured by Lynn McTaggart, and a scientist, I think, in Berkeley University or something like this. I don't remember. It's on Lynn McTaggart's site. You can find the research. So they did a study with a group of doctors who gave a placebo pill to patients and practitioners who put placebo zone for their patient, and they just do fake Reiki or fake whatever you want. They had 30% more success with the fake practitioners, because we put people in a Zen state and there's like this love state, and we take time with them. But it's still very, very different from energy work. And I don't know how we are going to discern the real energy workers from the, I don't like to say fake ones, because people are really doing this from the heart, but we do not know what real energy is because it's not measurable with a camera or tools. They are really believing they are doing it. I did not know that existed. That happened to me when I started. I had practitioners coming to see me and they were in shock and they said, oh my God, you are the real deal. And I had no idea what they meant because I did not know anything else, because we could feel energy on them for the first time. I also want to send a message for these practitioners. If you are not sure you are real, go try to find the real deal and get attuned, because what you need is attunement, and maybe your layers cleaned also. It's actually quicker to get there than you think if you're already in that work environment. I don't know, I'm going to teach this. I'm going to make some enemies in the world, but that's fine. People need to know that there's people who just put you in the placebo zone and people who really do it for real. I do not know how to detect them yet, but we need to. I'm losing my English vocabulary, but we need to educate the public and the practitioners about this, because they don't know, they don't do it for real. That's the thing. It's not a criticism to them. It's just that they don't know because they have not been taught right, because they have not practiced with somebody who can really see energies. And I was very, very blessed on my journey to meet only the real people. And I met, I'm going to call that the fake practitioners. They are not fake, but people who believed they were real. I met them later, so I could compare. But if I did not meet the real one at the first step of my journey, I would believe it's real, even if I did nothing. I don't know if I was clear. It's kind of messy with my English.
No, that makes total sense, right? So biofield research is still in its earlier phases. It's evolving. It will be fascinating when we get there. I think we're getting clues, but at the same time, like you said, it's hard to find the word. You're saying like fake, but it's not really fake. They're trying. It's just that, let's face it, we are beginners, and then we can be very developed. And like you said, it takes a lot of practice and it takes certain states, and some of these states we can control, and some of these states are spontaneous. And with practice, people get better at going into these, like you said, really high healing states, the real deal. But as you said, we have a lot of beginners out there who are just playing with energy in the beginning. And if we go to them the first time, it's not near the experiences like that they would have with you, or someone who has really developed their skills. So it's probably a good thing for us to know. But yeah, the research isn't there yet. Oh, Patrice, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. I can't thank you enough for being here, and I look forward to when we talk next. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.